You're watching Past the Wire TV.
Very good Sunday morning to each and every one of you waking up on Belmont Sunday, we'll call it. Another solid day of racing with some head scratching, track management, which we'll get to in a minute. But the big performances did not disappoint. Raging Torrent in the Met Mile, super impressive. Sovereignty in the Belmont, very, very impressive. Felt like all of my bets were home free at the eighth pole yesterday, and they seemingly all pretty much got swallowed up. Mi Baggio couldn't get there. Mulligan couldn't get there for me. Journalism couldn't get there for me. So a little bit of a frustrating day watching the races, but some really star-studded performances. Really, most of all, which was Sovereignty, um, and a couple of thoughts on the Belmont. I was a little surprised, and I'll pull the replay up here. We can watch it together. I was a little surprised, honestly, that Journalism and Sovereignty were so close to the early pace. Into that first turn and down along the backstretch. And I thought perhaps they probably thought that Rodriguez and Crudo would be maybe perhaps running a little bit quicker than they were. I mean, the pace was pretty normal. It wasn't absolutely blazing, but when you're going a mile and a quarter in a pretty tight eight horse field, I guess that was probably to be expected. But I did expect that Rodriguez would be out in front and Crudo would be right up alongside, which is pretty much what happened. But like I said, I was just a little surprised that Journalism and Sovereignty were that close early, and maybe Baeza's kicking himself a little bit now for being a little bit further back and having to run up for third, which kind of seems to maybe be his MO. I don't know. That'll be something interesting to keep tabs on moving forward. I mean, that horse will probably, I don't know, win the Haskell or something crazy. And then we'll go from there over the summer. But super impressive from Sovereignty to win the way he did. Just kind of speaks to the genius, maybe, or at least the looking like a genius for Bill Mott. They just skipped the Preakness because they didn't want to run in it, and he was fresh as a daisy for the Belmont and ran one of the fastest 10 furlong races at Saratoga in a very, very, very long time, which was cool. I also think running 3 races in 5 weeks for Journalism kind of showed up there at the eighth pole when he just couldn't match strides with Sovereignty. I mean, they maybe ran together for a stride, but Sovereignty was going right on by, and they were never going to slow him down or keep up with Sovereignty. But kudos to Umberto Rispoli, kudos to the horse, kudos to Mike McCarthy, dancing every dance. The horse showed up, man, like second in the Preakness or second in the Derby, win the Preakness the way that he did, and then second in the Belmont in 5 weeks. I mean, this horse is just a superstar, and hopefully we continue to see him run. I suspect they'll take a break until the end of the summer, whether that's what is it out there, the Pacific Classic, or maybe come back east for the Travers. Who knows? I guess at this point, I'd be a little surprised if they came back east, only to go back out west for the Breeders' Cup. But we'll see what happens. But tip your cap to journalism and the entire team. It's just what a tremendous racehorse. Sovereignty, also tremendous racehorse. And just kind of that what if, right? What if Sovereignty ran in the Preakness? And the what if it's always a fun debate, right? In sports. What if what if Michael Jordan didn't hit that game-winning shot against the Jazz, whatever was that, 98? I can't remember. What if they didn't give Derek Jeter that home run against the Orioles in 96, right? What if? And I think you could debate that until you're blue in the face. But for me, I think the what if Sovereignty ran in the Preakness, I think that question was answered at the 8th pole yesterday. Journalism got tired. He had the lead, and he just got tired from running 3 races in 5 weeks. And I think if Sovereignty did the same thing, who knows? Maybe he wins one of them. Maybe he wins the Preakness, but I don't know. I think he just wouldn't have been the same race. And we can debate that, and that no one's ever going to be right. But that what if Sovereignty ran in the Preakness debate going on Twitter yesterday was a little bit tired to me. But anyway, let's dive into the replay here and see. As they break from the gate, it's pretty predictable here. And the only thing that you might be able to argue from early on would be, maybe Crudo sending a little bit harder. But I was also surprised that journalism, like I said, was making up ground there through the stretch for the first time to get that early positioning. Like I thought that was pretty close up. And look, Sovereignty is right there in that second flight. So perhaps Pratt and Baeza now are kicking themselves for being so far back. And again, he's not even that far back, but further back than maybe he wanted to be. Uncaged, kind of backing out of it, and this Heart of Honor is already under a hand, like under some urging down the backstretch, trying to just kind of keep touch with the back of the pack here. But they're not going blazing fast. And you have Sovereignty, who was kind of pinned in on the rail, and worked his way a little bit wider, which I thought, was watching the replay a couple times, was pretty smart. And like right here, you're like, all right, journalism, keep running on, and then Sovereignty just unloads here and just piles on, which is really impressive. Rodriguez didn't run bad, Rodriguez didn't run bad to kind of set that pace and finish fourth. Maybe that mile and a quarter is a little bit longer than he wants to go. Mile and an eighth might be his limit. So we'll see where he ends up over the summer. But again, I thought Sovereignty obviously ran the best race. Pace dynamics mostly predictable. The race flow mostly predictable. So hopefully you guys cashed your tickets. The trifecta paid, for $1, it paid, what did it pay? 13.80, $14. A little disappointing. But yeah, I thought a solidly run Belmont will be interesting to see who comes back. Um, who comes back in the Jim Dandy and the Haskell in what do we got? 6-7 weeks time. So I suspect we'll see Sandman in one of those spots, which would be interesting. And that influencer guy was at the track all weekend, but I don't know if he has any other horses. But Sandman wasn't running, so that was whatever. So we'll see. I think the interesting thing now will be who shows back up, who do we never see again, and then we can make up our minds as the summer goes along. 3-year-old champ is Sovereignty at this point, right? Unless journalism ticks off like a Travers or Pacific Classic, and then the Breeders' Cup Classic. But we'll see how that goes over the summer. But overall, solid day of the actual racing. When we come back, we'll take a quick break here, and we come back. Just more foolishness with the weather and all of that. So I've got a lot to say. Stick around. Go. All right, welcome back in. Sunday morning coffee, Past the Wire TV, Big Race Jam, Shore Bet Coffee, AmWager, Pleasant Acres Stallions. Thank you to all three of you for making this show possible. Thank you to everybody that watches religiously every week. The comments are always fun and entertaining. And I appreciate you guys watching and tuning in. This is always a good way to kick off hopefully is a nice relaxing Sunday morning. NYRA. Who is the worst player at the poker table? And by worst, I mean most annoying. The most annoying player at the poker table is the one who string bets, right? I'll call and then I'll add and then they're like counting their chips. I'll add 1, 2, 3. You're a string better. And it's annoying as you're sitting there waiting to play your hand or fold your hand or whatever, as this person is using all the wrong terminology and just adding and adding and adding and adding to the pot, when in reality, all you want them to do, and they're probably very capable of doing, is just having that math in their head, picking up their chips and saying, I raise 10 or whatever it ends up being, right? And what NYRA did yesterday was string bet us throughout the morning, and then they quit. They just got up. They just got up from the table and they walked away. First, they took the races, a couple of races off the turf and onto the dirt. Everybody's scratching out, and they're taking like graded stakes off the turf, which is just totally insane to me for some reason. Like, why is the the jiper or whatever um, more important than the Pennine Ridge? Because one's a grade 1 and the other's a grade 3. Very weird that they would do that. So they take the races off the turf, scratches galore. The 9th and 12th races or whatever it was, the Jiper and the Manhattan, were supposed to stay on. Okay, fine. And then, like an hour later, they cancel those races altogether. Why couldn't they just make that announcement all at once? Why couldn't they bring the other turf races back today, like they're doing with those two? Why did all of those multi-day, multi-race tickets have to get canceled if you're bringing these races back? Why couldn't we just keep the tickets alive to today? Why is there never any consideration for the bettor? I mean, I get it, horses and the rider safety comes first, absolutely. But the bettor is just always getting screwed. And they had all of these like turf multi races, turf pick 3, turf pick 5. It's rained or snowed in Saratoga every weekend since November. Literally every weekend it's been wet. And there was no contingency plan, no creativity whatsoever. They knew for at least 24, 48 hours, right, that the weather was coming. And there was no contingency plan. There was no creativity. And there was no protection for the bettors in this case. And why does this keep happening? It happened last year on Whitney Day. They canceled a bunch of turf races. And the bettor is just kind of left there like, what do we do now? Because we can't string a bunch of these races together in multi-race wagers. I'm not betting a pick 5 with 3 and 4 horse fields. And maybe there was money to be made. I didn't look and see what the payouts on some of these races were because I wasn't playing the sequences because I was so frustrated with how they're handling this. Why move 2 turf races and run the other 2 on the dirt? Why not just move all of them? I just so confusing to me. And the answer that you'll get was like, well, the gaming commission won't let us. I worked in government for almost 10 years. If you want to get something done, you can get something done. And there was just no there was no contingency plan. There was no proactive thought like, yeah, this rain's coming and it's going to be a lot. And it's rained there every weekend for the last 6 months. The ground's probably going to be a little bit soft, and it's going to be a little bit softer when another half, quarter inch of rain comes overnight and into the morning. What are we going to do? And the answer was take 2 races off, keep 2 races on. An hour later, actually, we're going to cancel those and we're just going to move them to tomorrow. But the other races were already moved to the dirt. So we're just going to leave those. One of which is a great stage race. I mean, it's laughable. It's laughable. And sure, in some instances, their hands might be tied behind their back, right? Horse and rider safety comes first. I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it. But at a certain point, there needs to be some sort of creative thought. There needs to be some sort of creative thought. Somebody needs to stand up and do something with the bettor in mind. I lost so much interest in yesterday's racing that it was just really disappointing because it's happened before. It has happened before, and the same thing happened. They got criticized for it then. They're getting criticized for it now, and nothing's changed. Nothing's changed, and it's just mind-boggling. It's just mind-boggling to me that this always happens. That's my 2 cents on it. Anyway, in those races that are coming back today, what do we've got? We've got the Manhattan. I'm on Highway Robber there. Um, assuming, I mean, he was the first one to kind of scratch out of the race yesterday. So hopefully he's still in. But um, I thought he was kind of up against it uh, on Derby Day in that Turf Classic. So I like him to come back here and get this victory. I'm on the 3 Highway Robber in the Manhattan. Where's the other one? Think Big looks really, really tough in here in the Jaipur, but I'm probably going to spread a little bit in this race. I do think it's pretty wide open. So, and it looks like these races are included in some multi-race wagers. So, um, I'm going to use a bunch. Think Big, My Boy Prince, Allegon, AG Bullet, and Coppola. It's like half the field. Maybe I'll pare that down a little bit, but I liked the 2, 4, 8, 9, and 10. A little bit of a spread race in the Jaipur, 5.5 furlongs on the turf. Um, I thought that race was pretty wide open. So those are the two that I liked. The 2 races from yesterday. Highway Robber was probably my strongest opinion of the day. So hopefully the extra day of rest is a positive for him. But if you go back and watch some of those races on Derby Day, you could make the argument that um, the inside on the turf was playing very favorably, and perhaps Spirit of St. Louis was aided by that, and then being on the outside was a little bit of a hindrance, which is where Highway Robber was. So, um, assuming all things are playing fairly today at Saratoga, I think Highway Robber gets the jump and should be rolling there towards the wire, and I think Highway Robber gets the victory in the Manhattan. That's all I got. I'll keep it brief. Congrats to Sovereignty, Belmont looking like a genius. journalism, nothing lost in defeat. And just that exchange after the race between Rispoli and Alvarado is just classic. Like that's great. How could you not love some horse racing when you see two competitors like that going at it? These two rival horses now, and the two riders kind of embrace, and each patting the other horse on the neck. It's awesome, right? It's just awesome. Horse racing is a fantastic game that we all love so much. So if you're playing today, good luck. Highway Robber for me in the Manhattan. Thanks again for tuning in to Sunday Morning Coffee on Past the Wire TV. I'm Big Race Jim. Thank you, Shore Bet Coffee. Thank you, AmWager. Thank you, Pleasant Acres. We'll catch you guys next week. Go.
It's simplification and Javier. Here comes journalism, here comes sovereignty, and they square off, head into the final furlong. Sovereignty wins the Derby! You're watching Past the Wire TV. Hit that like button and subscribe to Past the Wire TV. Nobody does it better.